Good afternoon to everyone. It's time for Viewpoint. Let me first of all recognize those of you who are with us by way of TV Carib Channel 10. Good afternoon to you. By the way, folks, we are streaming live as well, so you can just go to tvcarib.com, scroll down the page, and look for Live Now, watch Live Now, and you'll be able to get us there if you are online. Or maybe you're watching us or listening to us by way of pgd2radio.com. Either way, because we do have some folks in the Netherlands who make it their point of duty to be with us every weekday up until Friday. But tomorrow we're not here, neither are we here on Monday. Just giving you a heads up of what to expect. All right, what's at hand today? Something very interesting, I'm sure, for those of you who have been looking for certain type of excitement. Indeed, we are open as a program to make ourselves available to provide different types of information to the general public. And I know there are those who care to hear certain things, and you have your preferences. In any case, you would want to be listening today. I'm here with Peter Gunn, who is an open critic of government as well as the governmental structure that we have. Not afraid to call it like it is. I'm going to be spending the hour with him, along with your phone calls a little later on, so stay with us. All right, without any further ado, good afternoon to you, Peter.
Good afternoon, Wendell, and good afternoon to everybody that's listening and watching.
Well, nice having you.
Oh, thank you. It's nice to be
You heard what I said about you. I hope I'm right. Is it safe to call you
critic.
the most critical person there is?
Well,
the last thing, let me just say this, the last thing that most of our leaders and government officials want is to be looked at critically because it makes them uncomfortable.
Well, that's what you need in any democracy. If you want to have a good, strong democracy, you have to have all differing opinions. So the people, in the end will decide. You give people information that they can decide what they want to agree with and what they don't want to agree with. But that's what democracy is about. If you don't have freedom of speech, where people will be critical of you, me, the government, and everybody else, you have to expect that this is what's needed in order to have a democracy, a strong democracy.
Peter, I sit here sometimes during the day, and I know that there are times that I have to face people who are very critical of certain things I say.
Well, you're going to get that.
Well.
Yeah, you're going to get that.
But I don't feel
normal.
no way as if they are out of place.
No.
I am looking to see what's in it that I can benefit from and correct to make myself a better host.
You need constructive criticism, and that's for everybody. And I mean, listen, even Jesus was criticized. You had those that agreed and liked him, and there was a big majority. a big part of that disagree. Same thing with God. I mean, look at the Bible. As I said, we have a group. We have people who believes in the Bible, and you have those who don't believe
critical
in
of what's written there.
Yeah, critical of God and the good path in life.
We're at a stage now where, and I know that this is the most holiest week that we Christian people really respect and reverence.
Or should.
But tomorrow is basically Good Friday, but we are allowed to be free even until today.
Yeah.
I just want to say to you, the formation of the government that has been taking some time, but it seems as though there's no real urgency because the people who are forming the government are not in control of what's going on anyway.
Well, the ones who are forming the government should be in control, but I think what they're probably trying to do is they're trying to come up with some kind of a governing accord that whatever coalition partners they decide to form the government with is going to be on the same page. If not, you're going to have a bunch of confusion. And that's the same thing with political parties. When you have a political party, you have to have an ideology. And most of our political parties does not have an ideology. And if you don't have an ideology, you don't know where you're going.
Yeah.
You're just blowing with the wind, and you're just governing based on public opinion. You cannot do that. Don't forget public opinion. You have to have the same thing with it when you're going to run an election. Your party should have a political ideology. But this is a problem in the entire Caribbean. But what they do is they try to fool the people with giving them something called a manifesto instead of a platform, and a manifesto just talks a lot of gibberish, and confuse people with some kind of technical language that makes them sound like they're educated, but it actually says nothing. You have to state clear what your positions are on certain things: immigration, economy, crime,
Yeah.
and how you're going to solve it. You just can't say. And what they do is they come out and say, "Oh, vote for us. We're going to create jobs." How are you going to create jobs? You can't create jobs by raising taxes, by over-regulating the economy, by having government overreach, by a government-controlled economy. Free market is the only thing that can grow an economy. No kind of socialist overreaching government, over government control. This destroys an economy. The government, without the free market, you have to have the free market to build an economy.
Let me ask you a question, though, and this is going to be a little bit personal as far as you're concerned. Why are you so critical about the system of government?
Because, listen, I studied politics worldwide, and I was born in a country that became a communist country.
That's where.
That was BG, British Guyana. My family left there in 1954, got the hell out of there because they saw what was coming. You had two major political parties there, with the Indian Party and the Black Party, and they were both communists, and they were going towards independence, and my family got out of it. And I know what it did, what socialism, communism does. Look what it's doing to Suriname and Venezuela today. It always ends in debt and economic destruction and crime. Look at the crime rates of those countries through the roof. It's not countries that you can go live in. And this is what it creates, and it creates a non-free market. So it's like Churchill said. Those kind of a country that's a socialist country is socialism is the creed of envy, the philosophy of failure, and equal sharing of poverty and misery. And you can see it wherever it's tried, all throughout the Caribbean. Most of them, from Jamaica all the way down, they're pretty much they're all socialist communists. Michael Mann, but you cannot mix it. If you mix it, it creates a confusion, and it usually goes to the left, because it's like it's like a cancer. It'll start eating away, and before you know it, you're full-fledged dictatorship. That's what happens. Pretty much those countries. Many of them are pretty much over government reaching.
Yeah.
That's why they cannot grow. Investors are afraid to go into those countries because they know they will lose their money, and everybody who makes an investment wants to have a return on their investment.
So what kind of system are we in? What would you call
We're a socialist system too, and it's becoming more and more. When in St. Martin, don't forget, I've been here all my life. But you too. In the beginning, it was a free market, open free market economy, low taxes, no crime, no poverty. We had no poverty until we started importing poverty. Most everybody, whether they fished or they had their families in Curacao who were working in Lago or somewhere else and sent back money, there was a small population back in the 50s. I believe there was only maybe about 2,000 people.
Yeah.
In the entire island, both Dutch and French side. And my mother tells me the stories, but because when I was that young, I didn't remember.
I remember your mom house right in Saka Garden.
Yeah. Before that, when we first came, my father and the Silver, we had the CB Hotel lease from Medfield Hazel.
Okay.
And my mother used to run the guest house. The Silver was on the bottom. The Silver was the one who came first and set up. He was importing food, dry goods and all that in those days. In those days you had no electricity, so it was electricity I think in Phillipsburg from 6 to 11 o'clock at night. Anyways, my mother ran the gas. So it was a wooden building. It was six rooms I think at that time. My old lady would be able to give you all the details. I was too small to remember, I was only 2 years old. Those times, but there was only 6 cars on there. Anyways, it was a free market. That's why it grew. I mean, you can say what we grew really
we have
fast.
done some things right though.
Yeah, because
to develop the way we are.
Yeah, but that's why we had so much migration coming in. But what we didn't do, and you have to give Claude credit, whatever you do, because in those days there was no jobs for the people there. They had to go to Curacao, and before that, they were going to the Dominican Republic to cut cane.
Cut cane, yeah.
So that's why so many people ended up in their father's born in the Dominican Republic or whatever.
Yeah.
So
we have that connection there.
Yeah, but don't forget, the people that went from Samant to Dominican Republic didn't go and collect welfare, got no free medication, nothing. They work hard for $1, and they didn't get. They don't get no pension either. Those people, huh? So let's get this straight.
Yeah.
People didn't go there to get nothing for free from St. Martin. They worked really hard, and I know. So this thing about, and they helped to build their country.
Yeah.
So I know what we are doing now is we had after the free market was working so well that St. Martin grew rapidly.
Yeah.
But Claude and Clem at that time,
Yeah.
they realized that they had to build St. Martin a lot of great jobs for the people here, and that's why the hotels started coming in, cruise ships started coming in the 60s and all like that. So, but we moved away from we allowed Curacao to implement all their laws on us because we were part of the federal government, and those laws is what destroyed their own economy. You know, after the '69 riots, then the Communist Party, which is Papa Godet and Amador Nita and Stanley Brown and them, they won the election. They brought in these crazy communist labor laws where if you hire somebody, you can't fire them and all this nonsense.
Yeah.
Then you have more and more government over-regulating your life and your business. Nowhere in the world when you have government overreach that much that you're going to have a growing economy anymore. We have a zero GDP growth right now. And for over the last decade, so is Curacao, so is Aruba. But and then after 10-10-10, we just adopted all those laws from Curacao. I thought we were going to get out of the Netherlands and
Yeah.
Antilles to, because our economy is different,
Yeah.
to adjust our system to keep growing.
That's one of the
And this is
failures.
the biggest mistake. Not only that, why would we have gotten out the Netherlands and Antilles if we're going to stay with all the laws? They just took them from Curacao, brought them here. Not only that, our constitution actually a copy of the Curacao Constitution or the Antillean Constitution. And the same thing with the Guildo. Why we with the Guildo? They control our economy through the central bank. Hey, what are we doing? And we had 8 years now to make adjustments to modify the laws or change the laws or take some off the books and all that stuff. We did nothing. We just continue with this system that's not growing an economy.
So you think that's part of why we are suffering the way we are?
We were already a zero growth economy before the hurricane. We had a zero. If you check for the last decade, we had a 0.03% growth, which means you have less than 1/3 of 1% growth, while your inflation is 1.5 to 2% a year. So you're actually going backwards before the hurricane.
Yeah.
Now after the hurricane, our economy has gone straight in the moondocks. It's gone. You're going to see we're going to have a minus 10% negative in the red. So unless government does, and I see maybe they're starting to make some changes now. Unless government does the right things and get away from this government-controlled economy, which means, the government cannot decide how the economy is going to grow. When you do that, you're talking like a Cuba or a Venezuela, Zimbabwe, and them places where the government is so overreaching that they choke you to death. And we need to cut taxes. We need to cut government spending. I see they're starting to do. I don't know that they're starting to realize that, or they've been forced to. Through Holland and the IMF and all that.
The question, dear Peter, is how far are they going to go with government spending?
Well,
Who are the ones going to be affected by it?
Well, they have to cut government spending no matter what. If not, you're going to go bankrupt, and I don't think Holland is going to tolerate that for much longer. Don't forget, Holland has recently had a new government, and that government is more to the right. It's not you can't get away with going spending like crazy and keep wanting Dutch people to go put their money in, and they can't see any good use of it.
They're going to exercise the
So
control.
that's why they put the World Bank,
Yeah.
to make sure. But there's too much political cronies in the system. Same thing with government companies. They should be privatized. Look at the government companies today. You get bad service, a high price for a bad product, and bad service.
Stop there. There's a talk about all government-owned companies supposed to be cash-strapped at the moment. Airport was mentioned, GB, Telem, Harbour. Is there anything else? that you know?
SVB. SVZ or whatever it is now.
SZV.
FZV. Yeah, watch out for that.
You sure about that?
There's a tremendous lot of waste going on there, and there's a lot of people on there that are abusing that system. That's will bankrupt it eventually if we don't have more people paying into the system. And we're
No.
going to have less and less people because we have more and more unemployment. And look out for that. You know, my doctor already told me, watch for that next. I'm not going to say what my doctor is, but
Now we're saying this. There is hardly any facts to back this up, but there are certain evident things that are out there in the
there's
press.
abuse. There's a tremendous lot of abuse on the SVB system and the medical system. I know people that's not even worked here for a year, maybe a little over a year.
No, this is not a popular topic, Peter. You realize?
I know. Well, I know. Yeah, but the truth is the truth, whether you like it or not. And there's people that I know that's been not even employed for 2 years or so, and they've been to Colombia 4 and 5 and 6 times already. You know what that costs? And young people too. You know what it cost is? And I know there's a lot more abuse going on.
That's as far as SFB.
So,
what about what you heard about? Well, GB came out some time ago and said that they're looking for cooperation from their staff because, again, pointing to the fact that their resources running dry.
And they're monopolies, you know. They're monopolies. They don't have any competition. We're talking about.
So you're saying that this should have never happened?
I don't. You see, a monopoly is a dangerous thing, and I think that's why I think they should break up the telephone situation because TLM is a monopoly. Every other
But what
company,
about UTS?
UTS has to buy their service. I think their lines and their service through them.
Oh,
So they're actually supplying the internet and and any other one too. All the other so-called internet providers and stuff, and even cell phone.
you mean-
Because I remember when ECC was there,
Yeah.
Bartfield,
Yes.
there was the first cell phone company.
Yeah.
They had to buy their service through Telem,
Tell him.
of course.
Okay.
So it's a
But they
monopoly.
were
situation.
providing a
So,
different type of service.
but why would you? How could you be selling service to somebody while you're selling the same service? Because what you can do then, you can make sure their service is running slower than yours, so you keep the clients. It is a conflict of interest, if you understand what I mean.
All right, Peter.
You
we
know,
have-
and all those kind of sort of things. You'll make it.
Yeah,
so-
there
so-
is a lot to talk about, but I know I'm
But
going
you
to
should break it up.
We're
Yeah.
going to open the lines for the second half because I'm sure that there are those people who would like to make a contribution as far as this discussion is concerned. But there's something I want you to listen to because I believe that having done so many things right for the country to grow and become what it is,
Yeah.
there are still some things we're doing bad to the point where when people come in and see what we're doing, they criticize what our system.
Well, that's normal. I mean, and people see it. Don't worry.
I want you to listen to this. I do have something here that I want to listen.
Time now for Opinions and Patriots, the Caribbean edition. First of all, thanks to Laura Ingram and Juan Williams for filling in for me last week. They are Patriots, of course. I was down in the Caribbean, underwater most of the time, scaring the fish. A couple of islands impressed me. Saba, small Dutch island, very interesting place. Kind of looks like Kong Island, volcano and all that. We saw lots of turtles swimming around. They fled when they saw me. If you go to Saba, ask for Wayne to give you a tour of the island. He's the man down there. And we were based on Anguilla, another great place, nice people, and the Cuisinart Resort is top-notch. And we met plenty of patriots in both those places. On the pinhead front, St. Martin is a disaster. The Dutch side, especially, chaos. Doesn't even come close to describing the governmental situation down there. Not the folks, the government. The resorts are all right, but the authorities who run the island are largely pinheads who like Anguilla better.
What would you say of something like that? Now, this might be critical stuff, but doesn't it send a message for us to look within ourselves?
Of course, but
See what we're doing.
people, the world is seeing what goes on. I mean, it doesn't matter what they'll see it. So, and he's not wrong. Everybody knows that. So unless we take some critical.
Would our people agree with a statement like that, though?
Well, whether you agree with it or not, it's the truth. The truth will set you free, but at first it will piss you off. I mean, it's the truth. You can live in a place called denial, and I always tell people, it must be a nice country to live in. Maybe one of these days I want to go in that city you call denial.
But that doesn't make me feel comfortable either.
No, but
and the
it's the
reference
truth.
it's not about me.
Yeah, but
if that's what it is,
everybody
then we need to take a
everybody
second look
knows
at
that.
what do.
We know that. I mean, look at the Netherlands knows it. You don't think the American government knows it? The news media in the states they've got their ears to the ground too. They hear and know what's happening down here.
What do we need to do, Peter?
We need to get serious and straighten up our governmental structure, and we have to get rid of corrupt government and government officials and civil servants. and we have a lot of those.
All right.
And that's where you must start, and you can't get rid of corruption 100%, but you can bring it down to a very low level. And you have to get serious, and you have to lock them up, and lock them up for a long time when you catch them.
Does this
And
make
the
you
dog
feel-
and pony show that we go through, if you find a corrupt government official, and you don't even spend a month in jail or 10 days in jail. So unless we get really serious about corruption, in China they execute you if you catch you. In Singapore and those places too, you get executed if you catch you as a government corrupt official.
All right. On that point,
I'm not
folks,
saying we have to go that far, but they should
on
be
that
locked up
point,
for a long time.
I gotta take a break. But when we come back, I'll include your phone calls. So get ready to give me a shout and let me know what you think about what is being said. We'll take a break and come back. And welcome back to Viewpoint for today, folks. I'd like you to give me a call at 542-2580, 542-2580, 542-2764, 542-2764, and 543-2141. Peter, I realize that much of what has been said today
Yeah.
is more from a critical angle than it really is.
Constructive?
Well,
It's constructive
It
criticism.
is constructive, but people don't like their feathers to get ruffled.
Well, that's
And
that's part of life. I mean, if you have to have
okay,
critical criticism.
let me take a call. I do have a caller line. Good afternoon, caller. Thanks for waiting. Go ahead. You're on.
Yes, that's good afternoon, Mandel.
Good afternoon.
Your host that is there, the Peter. The recording that was just played is exactly the thing that needs to be said, not only by one particular nation of people, but a lot of people that is having their eyes on St. Martin and the government itself. But who was it? If you had heard the advertisement from Michael Ferrier for his business that he has, he's speaking the truth too. But who was there that caused the people them to be doing what they're doing to St. Martin government? They are the ones that are the culprit, and it goes way back to Joseph Richardson, Renee Richardson, Claude, and a lot of them that have put, for example, who designed the plan to put the dump on Torn Island? It was the same Democratic Party, and now they're bawling about they should have done this, they should have done that, but they were there to do everything, but they're focusing on the economy and raising jobs for people who come into the island, and the immigration is like 10 tight, and you hold up one person, you say no, they let them go. So a lot of the foreigners that have helped build the economy at that particular time, going around and showing people the big homes that they have in their country. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that. Okay. The mere point of the recording, however, is just to show that people are looking at what we're doing. They're going to come up with their own opinion. What they're saying may not necessarily be true, but they're going to use their terminology and their ideas to describe who we are.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to show, that people are watching.
Yeah, of course, and that's people are watching. St. Martin it's been on the news a lot recently and over the last years, to the tourist market or whatever. So of course you're going to get a much more critical eye watching what's happening down here.
Listen,
And
I have a daughter that lived in Holland, not in Holland, in England. And when they were talking about St. Martin, who was hardest hit by the hurricane, they made reference to that the island has one of the greatest port and air and seaport in the Caribbean region.
Yeah.
So it is identified by people many ways, but largely when people come in and get a feel of what the living experience is like, that's what we're talking about.
Quality of life has been going down. I mean, we have a safety and security problem. The traffic is out of control. I mean, it's to try and get anywhere these days, to move around, to try and buy stuff and to do business during the day it's a nightmare. So the quality of life and the safety and security is another serious situation, not only for the tourists but for the locals. There's a lot of crime going on this island. A lot of it is not being reported. because people don't feel, if they go to the police, it takes them 100 years to get a report. You got to sit and wait, and they tell you go and come back and make a report and all kinds of stuff, and you have to go 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And so people don't even bother reporting the crime anymore, unless it's a situation where they need it for insurance or something.
Well, I know there are
And
some
so,
people
and
who-
police, they're not investigating these crimes. You know how much more home invasions there's going on this island? It's never solved. About 95% of the crime is never solved. A lot of the murder cases are not solved. Only if it's some important person, then they're gonna bend over backwards and bring in some detectives from overseas or whatever to try and find the culprits.
How
But,
good are we? How good are we? I know we got.
We have to be serious
how
about
good are
we
we?
need to get serious about immigration. We allow too many people that are not contributing, but are destroying our economy through crime and through. We've seen what happened after Hurricane Lois. There's good people from everywhere, but and there's bad people too. So you have to vet the people that are coming into your country. That we have not been doing for a long time.
All right, let me take a call.
And that's why we had a serious situation here. Immigration needs to be cleaned up. And there's a lot of things going on the boardwalk right now. There's a lot of stuff going on still on the boardwalk, and there's a lot of robberies on the tourists on the boardwalk that's not being mentioned that should be cleaned up.
All right, let me take a call. Good afternoon, caller. You're on. Go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to make a suggestion here. What needs to be done in place in the government is a watchdog group, and they need to also wipe out the non-transparency of civil servants and those that are governing the civil servant apparatus. This is holding the country hostage and people not knowing what is going to become of them, especially after the displacement of Hurricane Irma. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you for that. A watchdog group, or maybe a think tank.
That's
or-
what you guys are supposed to
great-
be, the press.
Well, the
you
press-
and the
the
talk
press-
shows.
Well, when we bring these things together often, listen, I suffer here to some degree
Yeah.
in being able to get the right kind of information to the general public,
Yeah.
because there are people who make it a point of duty that they don't want to sit here with me.
Well, and,
So what do you think?
but then you should expose them, because
No, I won't.
a government is supposed to be transparent. So why would you want to not face the media and explain to the people what's going on? And if you got critical questions, you answer them honestly. And what if you're a crook and you're a scamp? You don't want to face the press. I think that's my opinion.
Don't you think that they should be happy to, whenever the
So
opportunity
to give
presents
information to
itself?
the people, yeah. So be
That's part of
transparent.
their job.
Yeah, of course. But people going to elect those same people back again. I don't understand how. Why? Well, they promised them.
I can't
they promised them
imagine
some
not
free
wanting
this and
to-
free this and that. That's why they trap them.
I can imagine not wanting to address your people.
Yeah, you should.
It's something
You should
that
take
you
every
would avoid.
opportunity you get as a government elected official of the people. If the press is critical, so fine, that's great. But answer the questions honestly, so that people know exactly
What
what's
is
happening. Let them make up their mind.
How do we handle criticism, you think,
Well,
in your opinion?
I don't think people don't like to hear the truth. So a lot of times they don't like criticism, but criticism is necessary. And it's not that you hate the person or you hate anybody, but you have to say that you have to tell the way you see it. But it doesn't mean you hate them.
On my Wednesday afternoon program, I do have a tape that I normally play, and I'm sure you heard that if you have been listening. It's from the late JFK.
JFK,
You
I
see,
know, I hear it.
Without criticism
Yeah,
and without debate,
yeah.
it is difficult for any country to move forward.
You would not have a democracy. You would have a dictatorship. Every dictator hates the press. Every dictator. Every
so
dictator
is
wants to
that-
shut down the
is
press.
that
They
a
want the
map?
government to control the press, and that's where the danger is.
Is that a mark of dictatorship then?
Of
would you
course,
say?
because if you want to shut down the opposite opinion, of course you don't like criticism. You want to shut down the press, but you got to give both sides so that people out there will decide what they agree with, what they disagree with, but you
That's
give them
the only way you can get the people
a
who
full
you
democracy.
serve the opportunity to make a clear decision
Yeah.
by
But if
giving
you-
them both sides.
Yeah, if you just give them one side, you just feed them what you want them to hear. which
Oh,
which
what they would prefer hearing,
yeah.
but what about those people who would want to hear the other side of the story?
Well, you get, yeah, but you gotta have free speech. If you don't, it's the end of democracy.
All right, let me just remind those people
Dictatorship.
who are listening and may not know who is here with me. This is Peter Gunn. He is an open critic of not only government but the governmental structure of St. Martin. He feels that ideology is sorely lacking in the type of representation that we get, so we don't know how to follow those people who are leaders because we can't determine where they're going and whether we agree with it.
Yeah, yeah. You vote when you vote. You vote for a pig in the bag. You don't know which direction they're gonna take. You know, you're just like they vote for this guy because he's family or he's sounds good or he speaks nice or but in the end you got to watch what direction they're trying to take you, and if they don't have an ideology you don't know what direction
Based on what you just said, Peter, I'm not afraid to publicly say this, although I'm not identifying who did, but there was someone who said that they voted for someone because they liked their name.
yeah
Their
well,
name.
so that's why
What?
that's why a lot of these people end up on the dictatorship. Look at Venezuela. And I say, you know, Curacao now is trying to deport out all the illegals out. I mean, they don't care what somebody else say because they have a zero growth economy. They don't have enough jobs to provide for their own people, and they have an economy that's in bankruptcy too, right? Like Aruba and us. And they just say, listen, whether you like it or not, we're going to send them back to where they come from.
Yeah.
They're illegal on our island. They're illegal, so we send them back. If you want them, you take them. But we're sending everybody back. We're going to deport them because we have to look out for our own people first. We have to look out for our citizens and our legal residents first.
Wasn't there a report in the paper that they were not allowed to send Venezuelans back?
No, they can't. They didn't want them to, but they said they're going to deport them anyway. They don't. But I say, listen. You vote for what you got there now. You voted for it, you know.
Yeah.
You voted for it. You voted for Chavez and Maduro to get them in there, and now. Now, because you voted for freeness, all the freeness they were promising, this freeness, and now you can't even get no food. You got to shop in a garbage can to find food. No food in the supermarkets, nothing.
But even
No money, no employment.
yeah, even people who are supposed to have money in the bank cannot have access to get that money.
I seen that happen throughout the Caribbean already, through Guyana and all that stuff. You couldn't get your money out when they became independent. They became a dictatorship. People couldn't get their money. You were only allowed to leave with $17, and if you had money in the bank, you couldn't take it out. You know this thing. But I see it happen, and I say they deserve what they get, and I don't want them. Yeah, I think you should stay in your own country now and deal with it because you voted for it.
Yeah, but maybe the system was structured and set up in such a way that they continue to support the same government all along.
Yeah, but it's now they ain't got a choice because now they're rigging the election every time. So
Yeah.
the opposition, they try to shut down the opposition. They shut down the free press and the government controlled press and all that. So and then they're rigging the elections.
What's your definition of patriot?
Well, a patriot is a person that loves his country and will fight for it to the death, and he cares more about his country than anything else, and he will defend it than anything.
Are we busy creating those kind of people here?
No. You have some, but even the politicians, they are only in it to see what they can get out of it for themselves and their friends and family members. You don't. If you cannot say you love your country when you're allowing all this crime and all this criminal immigration situation and tax, and killing the economy of the island, you cannot say that you love the island. And they are benefiting the most from it because they're the ones that are getting the big salaries and traveling all over the world.
Okay. Let me take another call. Good afternoon, caller. You're on. Go ahead.
While Peter is saying what he's saying, it comes to my memory at one time there was a program, a religious program by Miles Monroe of the Bahamas. He reported an issue concerning the government and the admittance of Jamaicans to the Bahamas for seeking work. At the time, the government made a statement and they announced that they needed outside labor. But they also have an agreement with the Jamaica government that placed the Jamaican government in a vulnerable position because of the people that are going there to the Bahamas to work. They put a policy that they can only come in the country to do work for 6 months and then go back. But then the Jamaica government retaliated and they said, no, we can't do that. We'd like to get a year instead. So the Bahama government told them, so we're going to give you an option to send in people, or we request for people for 6 months and you want it to be for a year. What are we going to do with the Bahamians after that need work, and that is the unemployment is increasing because others are taking over the jobs of our people? So, I just wanted to iterate on that because it is the immigration system here doesn't work well.
All right. Okay. Let's look at it this way: taking decisions rather. If it means out of love for country that we don't destroy it, we that kind is that kind of pedigree is part of us?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's part of us because we like to go for popular opinion. Oh, it's like politicians. Politicians usually like to go and see, before they make a decision, they want to see what the popular opinion thinks about it. That's not leadership. Leadership, you have to go to a direction. It might not be a popular opinion, but then you have to sell it to the people, explain to them why we have to go in this direction.
Yes.
Not go, and that's a leader. But if you're going to jump on what the popular opinion is and just trying to follow, you're not a leader anymore, you're a follower. And I talked to a politician not long ago, and he said to me, Peter, I said, well, he said, why? He says, you gotta see what the popular opinion is first, and then you go along with that. He said, that's leadership. I said, well, you're leading from behind. I said, I don't know. I said, but because we want to get elected, so you're going to tell the people whatever they want to hear. Promise them all kinds of stuff. Yeah. But that's not leadership. I mean,
you also said
that's a fake.
You also said
that
one of the things that we have to do is make some changes in the way we manage money.
Major changes.
One of the things you were suggesting is they have beginning to talk about what they will do. I know
Cutting government spending.
Costs. But how far are they going with this?
This is the thing. You got to watch what they're going to do. I mean, they're only doing that because they're being forced to now. But this was a common sense situation. They got to cut the salaries from parliamentarians, cut their salaries to 25 or 30%, I would say. Cut their traveling, because their traveling expenses through the roof, and plus all these so-called assistants that they have. A whole team of people for each parliamentarian and each minister. It's like a whole department separate. It's like, what are you doing for a little place like this? And you got to cut out a lot of the traveling expenses, and you got to cut civil servants, and you got to get rid of red tape and all the bureaucracy. There's a tremendous lot of waste that needs to be done, and you got to cut taxes. If you do not do that, you're not going to get this economy going, and you're not even going to get results to rebuild, because
you're talking about cutting taxes, but in the opinion of the paper today, you're talking about raising taxes.
If you raise taxes now, you're going to bury the economy for sure, and you're going to scare off any investor that's thinking of coming here, including building back hotels. Our tax structure is way too high already. It's one of the highest in the world. You raise taxes again anywhere there, you're going to drive people into poverty. You're going to drive, everybody would be equally poor, but you're going to drive poverty, and you're not going to get investment.
So that
you're going to
is certainly one way not to go.
No, that would be a big mistake. But the only way to be able to cut tax, you got to cut government drastically. You got 80% of everybody directly and indirectly working for government. If you take doctors and everybody, for school teachers, doctors, police, every single body, all the subcontractors, everything, government-owned companies. They're government-owned companies. They're civil servants. They work. Those companies are owned 100% by government. If you take all of them together, you have more than 80. There's no private sector left. All the hotels are down. Where's the private sector? The few supermarkets that are open and some of the stores on Front Street, that's the only private sector we have. Where's the private sector? Where's the people work? I see people going out and buying new cars. You know who buying the new cars? It's government civil servants. They're the only ones who got a guaranteed job that they will give them loans to say that they have permanent jobs. But they're going to be in trouble too in the end, because you're going to see a lot of those cars going to be taken back. They're selling new cars like crazy because they're getting easy loans for them now. But they won't be able to pay for them just now. But you have to cut the government spending and waste. You have no private sector left. Where is the private sector? Without a private sector, you have a communist economy. It's like Cuba, where everybody works for government. Now in Cuba they allow a few people to have their little businesses and all that, but you do not have, it's a government over-regulated economy, and then government is picking and choosing who's going to succeed and who's going to fail by this government public-private partnership nonsense. Government should not be in partnership with nobody, because these people get special privileges and benefits and tax breaks and all kind of stuff. The poor guy, small guy, don't get none of those. They tax him to death. As soon as he opened the door, the tax man there by his door to try, to collect taxes that he didn't even earn no money yet. I mean, it's unbelievable. So the tax, they have to simplify. They have to simplify getting permits. They have to get tough on crime. They have to reduce the size of government and cut taxes. They have to drastically reduce the government. If not, we're going to be bankrupt.
But you're talking about
And
all these measures when they really need the money.
who need the money?
Well, the government.
But they can't get it. If you raise taxes, you aren't going to get it. Where you going to get it from? You going to confiscate people land and sell it? Where are you going to get the money from when they're not making any money? Businesses are going belly over every day. The only business, private sector, I said, is just the few supermarkets, one or two hardware stores, and then some of the stores on Front Street. Where's the private sector? There's none. The hotels are gone, most of them. Where is the private sector? Where are you going to get taxes from?
And you foresee that if they have to raise taxes, there would be no encouragement for
No
these
investor.
hotels to come back either.
No. Why think Malabay take off afterwards? I remember when St. Martin was good is when the hotels were good is when the Americans
Malabay
were
and
here.
Concord, yes.
Concord,
And Malabay.
Parker, Malabay with Henry Ford, and what's his name? Goberman was St. Martin Isle.
Yeah.
And then you had Parker, and then you had Mercer
Yeah.
at Malabay.
Yeah.
Then St. Martin, when the Americans were, they started the hotel industry. Anyhow, Malabay took off after Hurricane
Right
Lewis
after.
and never came back. There's a few reasons for that. The tax structure, labor laws, communist labor laws we got on the books where you hire somebody, can't fire them. They came on the books after Papa Codet got in control in Curacao, and he was a real Fidel
Yeah,
Castro
that
man.
was
And
the laws, Peter, so we had no choice but to
But
do
we
the
just
laws.
took them over like that. I mean, before that, we never had that. But we didn't. You don't have to fire somebody. You don't fire people who are good.
Yeah.
Nobody does. If you, but you got to be able to.
But
Nobody. But you need to create competition in the workforce. Just like you need to have competition in order to produce a great product, a good service for a good price.
Yeah.
The business had to compete, but you need competition in all areas.
And you see that piece of legislation that you're talking about as a result of not being able to fire easily, unless you bill a file, probably. When you bill a file,
Yeah, but by that time it's cost so much, and then
Yeah.
you got to go to court, and
but
you got.
it gave way to what we are suffering from now. And
People
that's
don't
a
want to
6
hire
months
locals,
contract.
and people don't. Yeah. And people don't want to hire locals because they say, "Oh, well, there's going to be a problem." Look around, and you have to create competition, and this. The idea was to protect the worker. That was the idea, right?
Yeah.
But what it did more damage and hurt to the worker, and it created more unemployment because people don't want to take the risk
Yeah.
to hire locals. Go
And-
anywhere you're going to see.
And the locals take advantage of it too as well.
Yeah, but then they get lazy. They say, "Man, you can't fire me." But you need this incentive, and you got to reward people that do good, and you have to have the punishments situation in place too.
So
if
you're not saying much
give and
about
take.
the fact that our parliamentarians or lawmakers have a huge job cut out for them to make adjustments to these type of laws that is
yeah,
more
and you wouldn't need no
suitable for
6-month
us.
contract. You don't need no 6-month contract. You work after
If
you.
you have the
permanent-
right kind of
yeah, If you're
legislation,
there
you need-
1 year, 2 years, nobody is going to want to get rid of you because you're already good if you stay there. If you're there that long, you know what I mean? You're good. The company knows you're good. And the better you become, and the more you take interest in the work you do, the more
So
money
why-
you're going to make, because an employer is not stupid.
So while we have done a lot of things right, there are some things that we have done wrong.
Look,
All
after
of that needs
after
to be
all
corrected.
after all those laws were put on the books in Curacao, we had Shell, Lago, Autocar, Texas Instruments, Spitzer and Foreman, Can Jewelers, El Globo. You remember those companies?
Yeah.
All were big companies in those days. Gone. They run them out of town. And all the people start running up here looking for jobs because we didn't have those laws on our books right away. But slowly, they start to put them on us. So we became the same kind of economy that they have down there, a zero growth economy. And look at,
So
you
to-
remember all of that?
To wrap it up, then let's send a message to our parliament, and we need to take a look at our legislation. and
Yes,
make the changes
everything.
necessary.
Everything. All the laws need to be reformed, especially all those imported laws you take in from Curacao after 10. You just brought everything from Curacao and put it in our books without any adjustments or reform. So we continue in those direction, in that direction. We have no future. We're going nowhere.
Would you consider your style of approach when it comes to how you address some of these public opinions
Straightforward.
constructive?
Of course it's constructive. Let people decide. Let people go and do the research. You don't have to believe anything I say. Go do the research. You're going to see what I'm saying is the truth. I mean, it's history. Do the research. I do research. I know. I've been around long enough.
Oh, well, thank you for spending the time and for taking the risk, because I know sometimes people aren't willing to speak out because they
They're
fear
afraid.
of what would happen.
Well, that's all part of it. Einstein said, the world will not be destroyed by the evil people, but it'll be destroyed by the good people who say and sit and do and say nothing
All right.
against the evil.
All right. With that said, I want to thank Peter for spending the hour with me, and to all of you who listened and appreciate the program, we want to thank you for being there. Thanks again,
Right.
Peter.
Thank you.
All
God
right.
bless. God bless you and have a good Easter. Everybody have a
Thank
great
you.
Easter.
Same to everyone
Stay
listening.
safe.
Yep. Same to everyone listening. That's it, folks. We'll be back again, let's see, on Tuesday of next week, because I'm out this Friday and Monday. I'll be here Sunday nonetheless. Come and join me then. From all of us, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.